Hey guys, my name is Sam, and for my final game journal, I'm going to be talking about the game Anthem. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, what is Anthem? Anthem is basically a looter shooter style game with a heavy focus on narrative. This narrative connects all the world events, side missions, main missions, and everything throughout the game together to really just make sense throughout the game. So, basically, in this game, you play as a freelancer. Think of it like a freelance artist, if you will. So you basically take in contracts or jobs, if you will, to do certain things that the world wants you to do. And throughout this world, you traverse in a javelin. Javelin being like an Iron Man suit with different skills. Think of it like an Iron Man with different skills, and some are a little beefier than others. So you basically have the four main classes. You have the Ranger, which is the most versatile class. I'm sorry, my cat wants to be in this video. He wants to say hi to you all. His name is Dino, if you want to meet him. To keep going. So basically, in this game, like I was saying, the Ranger is the versatile class. And basically, with that class, you're like the typical soldier, if you will. There's not much that differentiates that class that really makes it stand out. Aside from probably its shield that you can pop out, so it's probably the best if you want to play more like a medic or just kind of a standard just shooter. The only thing you really have are your combos, your basic kind of combos, and this little like rocket shooter barrage thing that you have on the shoulder. Then from there, you have the Interceptor Javelin, which is basically the assassin class for the game. And this class is a little bit squishy, but if you get the crit strikes correctly, it really delivers a powerful punch to the enemy, so it's not something you want to mess with. Aside from that, there's the Colossus, which is the heavy tank. This tank doesn't have shields at all, but it has a ginormous health pool. So if you see him running towards you, I would not stand in the way. Aside from that, he delivers a very, very powerful blow from far away. This class specializes heavily on artillery and support. It's one of my favorite tank classes I've ever played in any single game. And honestly, I just love playing that class. So if you've ever thought about playing this game, I would highly suggest that one. And also for the mages out there, people who just like to cast spells, be a little bit far away from people, and deal a ginormous amount of damage that really makes your team thank you just for being there, is the Storm Javelin. This javelin basically specializes in capturing the, without going into too much detail in the game, capturing like the force that's in the game, and channeling it through your javelin to make giant spells, to create giant meters that fall, stuff like that. It's a really, really cool concept, and I just really enjoyed what BioWare did and the concepts that they brought to these classes and how they made them come to life. So, to keep on going with the story of this game, I did say it is a very heavy story-oriented game. It is, but it's also not at the same time. The story is so rich, it has so much potential, and everything just connects in the way that they mention everything, the way that the narrator speaks to you, or not the narrator, but the comments that the people throughout the game make to you while you're doing the missions. It's a really fun experience, but as soon as you finish the main mission, you're just left wondering, what now? Is there going to be an Anthem 2? Are we going to have a DLC? They just left so much. They answered a lot of questions of what is Anthem, what happened, but they left so much, just an insane amount of stuff just not answered, and a final to the story that could have been foreseen from a while back. And I just wasn't very impressed in the way that they finished and delivered the story, even though it had so much potential, so much lore inside of it. It's just something that I wish they would have kept going in. And for the gameplay side of this game, it has such an enormous potential, especially from the ability of your javelins to being able to fly. I'm so sorry, my cat is being a little annoying. He just wants to be part of this video. But as I was saying, the gameplay, it's amazing. The new concept that the javelins bring is you don't have to just be on the ground anymore. You don't have to see a giant boss like in World of Warcraft in front of you. You can fly. You can get up to their faces. You can go higher than them. You can be like Ewan McGregor from Star Wars, Obi-Wan, if you know him from his character name, and have the high ground from every single fight. There's just so much possibility in this game, and it it made me even more hyped when I got the alpha access to this game too. There was a skill tree. There was so much more to this game than from what we see now. The skill tree, it was insane. You should have seen just the development it had, the potential, the ideas, just everything that you could see the studio had in their head. They were just developing it, really just putting it in the game. It just gave it such a great feeling whenever you got through the skill tree, chose what you wanted, and you really saw the effect in the game. But after the alpha, when we got the actual release and the disaster that was the beta, it fell short. It fell very, very short. Because after you reach level 30, which is the max level in this game, and you get the exotics that you were looking for, which are the highest tier drops in the game, you just you basically just say, what now? There's nothing more I can do. There's only a certain amount of items that drop. There's not that many. There are, don't get me wrong, there are a bunch of rarities and a bunch of weapons, but there's only so many. There's not as much as World of Warcraft, as Destiny, that have these giant lists, and it just feels a little empty, and I would have loved to. I'm just hoping that maybe in the future, later, they really work on it, because this game has so much potential, and it's a game that I always come back to and I love to play, but it's always back to the same question. I'll play it for a couple hours and I'll just kind of find myself saying, what now? There's not much to do after you get the highest drops, or after you've mastered a couple of the strongholds. It's what we call the giant boss fights, or the seasonal events that pop out here and there. But yeah. And now to talk about more of the industry side of Anthem. Anthem was in development from the year 2012 to the year 2019, when it was released in February. If you're not very familiar with, if you weren't really up to date with the game world and the news that were circling around in 2019, Anthem really... So many games face a lot of development crunches, which is a really, really big crunch where the devs have to work really, really long, insane hours, and just inhuman hours that basically just deteriorates their mental health and their physical health, to be honest. This game really brought to the spotlight all the issues that the industry is facing together. It really highlighted the problems that we are facing in this game industry as developers and stuff like that. Basically, what happened to Anthem is Anthem was on track from 2012 to 2019. It looked like it was going straight. Everything was going great from the E3 and all the trailers that we saw. And then, as soon as, and also the alpha, but as soon as the beta hit, I think any sensible person, or anyone, as a matter of fact, could see there's something wrong. There was something that they were not telling us. So Anthem, after Anthem released, and a couple months later, there were a couple press releases, or not really press releases, more like just information releases from anonymous BioWare devs that spoke about what happened. Basically, Anthem, when it was in development, everything was going great. They had a solid idea. They wanted, basically, what I said, an Iron Man kind of deal, looter shooter style game. It was a great concept, but but the execution was where they failed. I don't want to blame the dev team. I know it was not their fault, absolutely not. It was completely just a complete, just to keep this family friendly, just an utter disaster of management, from corporate leads to their management leads. It was a complete disaster. The ideas were going from all over the place. Their brainstorming was everywhere. They could not solidify in a single idea. So they were speaking about, whenever they were making this game, the map, they made it just kind of, they just kind of made it at the moment, because either the head of their managers or their managers were saying, okay, we want to do the challengers are just gonna stay on the ground, and then they made the map. Then whenever someone from the corporate side came and played it, they're like, hey, why don't you add flying to this game? So then they had to edit the map, and all this happened in a very short period of time. I know 7 years sounds like a lot of time, but the amount of detail they put into this game, it really makes it seem like a blink of the eyes. So whenever they had to add the flying, take it out, or whatever they had to keep changing, really affected the game in a really, really negative way. That's why we're lacking a lot of the skill tree. We don't have that anymore. The most that we have is just the kind of lame drops that we get. So that long road of development, just to put it in perspective, what I'm actually trying to say, and just to summarize it, from 2012 all the way to about 2017, 2018 was completely just kind of garbaged. Then the people from BioWare that were talking about all the issues, that wish to remain anonymous in the publications that they made, they spoke about how not even Anthem, not just Anthem, Dragon Age, their latest Dragon Age also faced this issue where they had to deal with the BioWare magic crunch time, which is basically everything's going perfectly up until almost the last year of development, where management and all those people in control say, hey, you know what, why don't you just implement this? So they had to scrap everything, throw it in the garbage can, and then just make basically that game that they were told to make in a year or less, which is an insane amount of work. And it's something that I hope that gets fixed in the future, that really gets looked at, that there are some standards placed into this industry, because it's something that makes me not want to go into the coding side of this. It just makes me want to look at it from afar and work from a bigger company that's not in the game industry. I don't want to face all of that, and I don't want to have all those health and mental issues that are going to be faced from doing this. So basically, the BioWare crunch just killed this game. They tried their hardest, just like they did in Dragon Age. That's why if you've played Dragon Age, or seen it, or heard about it spoken, you could tell that the game released, but everyone was like, hey, where's the rest of the game? And then BioWare's like, oh yeah, here's the patch. Here you go. Here's that future DLC. Here's the rest of your game. It's not because the devs were being lazy or because they don't care about you. It's because they tried their hardest in that last year, that they were basically placed that basically all management and everyone just kind of strangled all the devs and said, hey, come on, you got 1 year, let's do it. Let's do the best you can. They delivered as much as they could. That's all they could do. And with Anthem, more on the marketing side, so basically not from behind the scenes, what we all saw is basically the marketing was fantastic. Anthem was everywhere. I don't know if you went anywhere around the country, to cities like New York, where I went to, where you would walk through Times Square, you would see giant posters that I obviously took a picture with because it was great. Where you would just see giant posters everywhere of Anthem. Anthem was just everywhere you looked. And even on ads everywhere. On E3, they had a giant panel for Anthem. It overhyped the game. Everyone was so excited. Everyone talked about the possibilities of everything, of what they wanted to build, of who they wanted to main, of just everything. And then it released. And as soon as you got to level 30, you were just kind of done, to be honest. You were just kind of done playing it. And then we saw what happened from what I talked about before. And it was a complete chaos. And this is what just kind of Anthem and their development team, what they suffered, just shows the industry what we're not supposed to be doing to other human beings and how to not treat developers. Because also when it released, people were getting really salty with the developers and just blaming everyone for it when it really wasn't their fault. They just tried as much as they could. And now for the last point I want to touch on with the game Anthem is the audience that they were going for. Anthem, as I was talking to you about before, they are going more for the people who love looter shooter style games or more of a story driven narrative. So I feel like it just mixes that really well in together. They were trying to go for a game that people just wanted to keep playing, grinding and grinding to get that perfect drop for that super legendary weapon, or maybe that component for their javelin that just made it so overpowered that they can deal such critical strikes. And it's a type of game that I really enjoy playing as well. It's, if you've never played a looter shooter, but you've heard of maybe Warcraft, World of Warcraft, or Destiny, it's kind of like that. And the drops in the game vary. They have a couple different types. And all these types, they all have their different roles. In the beginning, the roles didn't really make sense. I'm going to be really honest. Some of the roles were duplicate roles. It was a complete mess. But after a couple patches and where we stand now with Anthem, these roles actually make sense. They really power up your javelins. And whenever you get that really sweet roll, it just makes the grind just feel so worth it. And then to talk about the community and what was left of it. So basically the beginning of Anthem, the first year, the community was a little salty. Everyone just wanted to... Everyone that played, as soon as they got to level 30 and they beat the final stronghold boss, which is basically just one, they just kind of got salty and left. They just kind of started throwing just a mess around here and there, just wanted to create chaos around the forums, and just left. Disinstalled the game. We never heard from them again. And the rest of us decided to stay. I don't play it as often as some others, but basically we just tried to make the game fun for everyone. We tried to help each other out, tried to really keep the game alive from the dead state that it was left of because of the development issues it faced. And it's a great community to get to know of. And you also just see the communities where people just base everything around Anthem, where they really just want to help out each other, wanted to just make this game still be alive even with the low amount of dwindling players that we have. But it's an amazing game, and if you're into this type of game, into this type of stylized gameplay, I would highly suggest giving it a try. I know I probably haven't made it the most hyped up game ever, but luckily the development team is working on the second version of Anthem. Hopefully it is free to play. There's nothing confirmed as of yet, but they're keeping the player base updated as much as they can, keeping their community alive as much as they can with updates here and there from events from Halloween to a couple other random ones that they've chosen to put in, a couple different armor that have kept us happy, if you will. But hopefully it's a game that their version 2, which they have spoken about, they have posted about, it really delivers what Anthem was supposed to be like. It really delivers that feel of game that you just want to keep on going, that the community just gets stronger together. As they say, the saying in Anthem is basically, you're strong alone, but you're stronger together. And I hope it's something that they deliver. It's something that the community really just feels tightly knitted together, that we all feel like the World of Warcraft ones where everyone just talks and wants to help each other. That they're saying, "Hey, bud, come on, we need a storm javelin. We need that mage. We need that damage. You want to come and join with us?" I just really hope that that Anthem original dream really comes to light one day. Even if it takes a year or two more, I'm willing to wait. It's a game that is really worth it in the end. And for the final part of this video, I just wanted to thank every one of you for watching all my amazing gameplay videos that I hope you really enjoyed when I crashed or when and everything else went wrong in the game. I wanted to wish you all a great rest of year of 2020 or what's left of it. Hope 2021 treats every one of you amazingly. And thank you so much, Professor, for this great class. I'm not into this major, but I learned a lot and I had a lot of fun throughout it. So thank you so much for everything you taught me and for making me look at video games and not more of a just coding development type of thing, but what really goes on in the background and more in depth. And I just really enjoyed all that. So thank you all so much, and I hope 2020 just treats every one of you really well.